Hello, good morning, class. So for today's pre-recorded discussion, we're going to discuss about the stages of death. So this is actually the second to the last topic for your CDI-4C, which is your special crime investigation with legal medicine. So for today's topic, we are going to start first with why do we need to establish the death? Or as we have previously discussed, diba, there are instances that establishing the death or formally identifying that a person is dead is very crucial in a sense na it really affects the civil personality of the person. So ngayon, ano yung presumption of death natin? So this is from Article 390 of the Civil Code and Section 5, Rule 131 on the Rules of Court. In the rulings for the presumption of death. Okay? So, ang first dyan is this totally for the absence of 7 years wherein wala kayong any idea or it being unknown whether or not the absentee is still alive. Absentee ang tawag natin doon sa person na ina-identify natin. Okay? So, he shall be presumed dead for all purposes except for those sa kanyang successions. Okay? Pag ang pinag-uusapan na natin is succession, pag marami man siyang mga acquired properties, diba, is that kailangan natin siyang hintayin until 10 years. Okay? So dito, sa presumption of death na, paano yung 7 years na yan? Yung totally na wala kayong alam kung saan siya, hindi siya nagpaparamdam kung saan ang location niya, walang nakakita kung saan siya, or wala kayong any news regarding sa kanyang whereabouts. So, for the purposes na pwede na siyang i-presume as dead, di ba? Ito yung kanyang ruling sa Article 390 nga, na after absence of 7 years, it being unknown whether or not the absentee is still alive, he shall be presumed dead for all purposes. Ang exception nga lang na sinasabi is that pag ang pinag-uusapan na is kanyang succession, okay, yung distributing ng kanyang succession or maipapamana na, yan yung maghintay kayo ng until 10 years. Okay, so what else? We have also here the following instances wherein he or she shall be presumed for all purpose, including the division of the estate among the heirs. So this is under Article 391 of the Civil Code. For number 1 instances is yung for 4 years since the loss of the vessel or airplane kung saan siya last na nag-onboard. Okay, so syempre, di ba there is a risk already doon sa kanyang last scene, okay, or kung saan siya last na may known information wherein that is the vessel or the airplane. So ito yung mga, if you have a watch, yung Castaway, di ba? Parang, ang alam nila is patay na siya kasi for how many long years na siyang wala, pero nag-survive pala siya doon sa isang island. That's why, yun, na-declare siya as dead. Pero nung nakabalik siya, syempre, i-rectify nila yun na record. But for us, yun nga, pwede mo na siyang i-presume. Kaya ang term is presume. Okay? Presume na patay na yung tao. Another one, member of armed forces, yung tao, who have taken part to a war and missing for 4 years. And also a person who has been in danger of death under other circumstances and his existence has not been known for 4 years. Okay, so these are only additional informations because ang topic na natin is the stages of death. Another one, pag meron tayong presumption of death, syempre meron tayong presumption of survivorship. So survivorship is presumed from the probabilities resulting from the strength and age of the sexes, according to the following. So for example, if both were under the age of 15 years, ang mas older is presumed to have survived. Okay? So anong rationale nila dyan? Bakit yung older? Syempre, pag older ka, it means, pag sa age bracket na yan, parang mas mature ka, or you have more the survival skills, or you can, or you can protect yourself already. Another one, if both were above the age of 60, so sino naman ang presume natin na nakapag-survive pag ganyan ang instance? Syempre dito, the younger naman is presumed to have survived. And number 3, if one is under 15 years old and the other is above 60, the former is presumed to have survived. Okay, so yung 15 years old siya ang presume natin na nakasurvive. Kasi syempre 60 years old, medyo old na yan. So physically speaking, may mga nararamdaman na or yung lakas niya nung kanyang prime years is hindi ganun yung same level ng lakas niya ngayon na senior na siya. If both be over 15 and under 60 and the sexes be different, the male is presumed to have survived. If the sexes be the same, yung older. Okay, so nakikita nyo it's either the older, the younger, or the male, depende sa circumstance or depende kung sino ang kasama. And lastly, if one be under 15 or 60 and the other, between those ages, the latter is presumed to have survived. So the latter dito is the 60. So we have also here the methods of estimation of time since death. So for your additional references, you can check this link also or this author kasi meron siyang authorship na book wherein it explains the methods of estimation of time since death, which is really important as a criminal investigator. So why do we need to establish death, di ba? Why do we need to establish the time of death? Di ba? Number 1, syempre it assists the death investigation. Ma-determine natin kung ano kaya yung oras, kung ano kaya yung oras. So pag na-determine natin yung oras na estimated time of death niya, pwede nating ma-narrow down kung sino yung mga suspects, di ba? Malimit din natin yung investigation period, yung ma-establish natin yung timeline of events or for your crime reconstruction, and lastly relates to the essential points of the manner on how did the person died. Okay? So next, postmortem interval. So sa postmortem interval, meron tayong 3 major stages. That is your immediate, that is your early and late stages. So sa immediate, this is the postmortem phase wherein it can be termed as the postmortem interval between your somatic and cellular death. If you recall again, your somatic and cellular death, di ba sa somatic, ano yung first na namamatay? Yung tatlong vital organs. That is your brain, the heart, and the lungs. And then followed by the cellular death, that is the time na yung mga other organs mo na, other cells in your body are gradually dying also. So ang immediate death, that is in between or interval nga ng somatic at saka cellular death. So this occurs usually within 2 to 3 hours after death, okay? And usually denotes a lack of discernible changes in the morphology or doon sa itsura ng tao kasi sa 2 to 3 hours pa lang siya. So immediate death changes occurs up to 3 to 4 hours after death. The body undergoes rapid biochemical and physiological changes that are primarily caused by the circulation of blood. Okay, ang pinaka-cause nito is yung nawawalan na kayo ng circulation of blood because of the stopping of the heartbeat, because of the stopping or the cessation of your heart function. Okay, di ba? Kasi ang heart natin yan ang nagpa-pump ng ating blood sa lahat ng katawan, sa lahat ng parte ng katawan. So if nag-stop yan, syempre, mawawalan din yung function ng pag-flow ng blood sa ating katawan. So that is now your immediate death. So again, pag sa immediate stage na ito, it means yung blood circulation is already stopped. So it means blood is not flowing all over the body. So ano pa? Dito sa immediate na ito, aside from the blood also, makikita natin itong tracking. Yung tracking or segmentation of the retinal blood vessels. So this is an example of the tracking, or the cause is that loss of intraocular pressure and the clouding of the area. Okay? So minsan mas visible, very visible yung clouding of the area. Ito yung clouding of the area. So yung tracking naman dapat nakikita diyan sa white part ng mata. Okay, so this sign presents as a break in the continual column of blood on ophthalmoscopic examination of the eyes. Okay? And usually occurs within half an hour and may sometimes take as long as 2 hours after death. So, if there are instances na nakita ninyo yung isang katawan ng tao, dead victim, you try to check the eyes. If there is a present trackings or the clouding of the cornea, you can estimate the time of death na hindi pa siya lumagpas sa 2 hours. Okay? Kasi nga usually, ang tracking at saka yung clouding of cornea, nag-i-start yan ng 30 minutes after the death hanggang sa 2 hours after the death. So, 30 minutes to 2 hours after death, present ang clouding at saka itong trackings. Okay? Another one. We have also the decay noir de la sclerotic. So this one, in other words lang, darkening of the sclera. So yung isa is nagkakaroon siya ng clouding. Ito naman sa decay noir de la sclerotic is that darkening of the sclera. Okay, so after the changes in the eyes, let's proceed sa changes ng ating skin. So first off, syempre, it loses the elasticity. And then, a few hours after death, yan na yung mag-i-start na magiging pale yung itsura ng isang tao. Okay, magiging pale yung isang itsura ng tao. As you can see here in the picture, nagiging grayish na siya. Nawawalan na siya ng color. Another reason there is yung sinasabi ko kanina, there is now the loss of blood flow. So, syempre, loss of blood flow, nag-i-stop na yan, nagiging pale na yung tao kasi yung nag-i-stop na yung pag-circulate ng blood sa kanyang buong katawan. So, yung mga blood nagiging stagnant na siya. Hindi na siya nagpo-flow. Another one, emptying gastric contents. So, pag sa mga instances na very violent yung death, or there are instances na kailangan i-autopsy yung tao, they can also open the gastric contents. O doon sa stomach, makikita natin. So for example, pag sa mga light meals, nag-i-stay kasi yan sa katawan ng 1 to 3 hours. Kaya napapansin nyo pag mga light lang yung breakfast niyo like a bread, ganun, madali kayong magutom kasi nag-i-stay lang yan ng 1 to 3 hours sa katawan ng tao. So what is this? What is the rationale pag dito sa gastric contents? Diba? For example, pag in-open yan, and then makikita pa rin na may mga light breakfast or may mga food content pa doon. Okay? ipaprocess nila kung ano yung last na kinain niya, ma-determine nila na okay, ang last na kain ng taong ito is within 1 to 3 hours. So buhay pa siya during the previous 3 hours. Okay? So small light meals also get emptied from the stomach with 1 to 3 hours. And the time consumption, if known, is that depende rin siya sa volume and type of meal. Pag mga heavy meals naman, yan yung nag-i-stay siya sa ating stomach for 5 to 6 hours. Okay, 5 to 6 hours. Yung mga karne, yung mga rice. Okay? So mag-stay yan ng 5 to 6. Okay, next we have now your after ng 3 to 72 hours, ano naman ang early PMI natin or yung post-mortem interval na sinasabi. So dito napapasok yung classical triad natin for the post-mortem changes, which is your rigor mortis, livor mortis, and your algor mortis. Okay, so this period is also known where the estimation of time since death is most relevant in establishing the timeline of events and developing a theory of circumstances of death, and then the period runs from 3 to 72 hours after death. So ang early PMI natin is that it is most frequently estimated during the sabi ko nga, 3 to 72 hours. 3 to 72 hours. Okay? So, ano ang mga mortis na ito? So, isa-isahin natin from rigor, livor, at saka algor. So, sa rigor mortis, this is your stiffening of the muscle. Livor mortis is the discoloration. And then lastly, the algor mortis, that's the cooling of the body. Okay, so ang first ay syempre, cooling of the body or your algor mortis. Ang algor mortis is the cooling of the body after death. So what is the cause of this one? This is primarily due to the loss of homeostatic regulation of the hypothalamus in conjunction with the loss of heat to the environment by conduction, convection, and radiation. Or in other words, nagkakaroon ng loss of temperature. Take note of this, nagkakaroon ng loss of temperature due to the cessation of all metabolic processes. So, ang temperature ng isang tao is most rapid siyang bumababa during the first 2 hours of death. So, it just follows, di ba? Nag-i-stop yung mga 3 vital organs mo, syempre, nag-i-stop din yung functioning ng katawan. Pag nag-i-stop ang functioning ng katawan, nawawalan tayo ng metabolic process, nagkakaroon na ng sudden decrease sa ating temperature kasi wala nang nagpa-process doon sa ating loob ng katawan. Okay? So, ang pag-drop ng ating temperature after death is very rapid siya or mabilis siya during the first 2 hours of death. Kasi biglang nagsisays, di ba, lahat. So, first 2 hours, magkakaroon yan ng drop ng 15 to 20 degrees of Fahrenheit, and then it is already a sure sign of death. Pero, after na ng 2 hours, ganyan, mag-slow down na bababa. Okay? Pero ang pinaka-rapid talaga na pag-loss ng ating temperature during after death is your uh, the first 2 hours of the death. Okay. And then next, we have here the Algor mortis. So, ang fall ng temperature of death may have some variations depende sa following conditions. Okay? So, pag ang cause of death is cancer, phthisis, ang phthisis na ito is known also as your tuberculosis. And lastly, pag collapse or yung sudden death, yan is yung fall ng temperature natin. Okay? The fall of our temperature is hindi ganun kabilis because masyadong mataas yung temperature ng tao during the time of his death. Especially so pag ito ang cause. Okay? Ulitin ko, pag cancer, phthisis or tuberculosis and sudden death or bigla ka na lang nag-collapse, hindi ganun kabilis ang pag-fall ng temperature because yung cause of death mo is may kasamang high temperature. Okay? Unlike sa mga tao na normal, yung kanilang temperature during death is that first 2 hours talaga masyadong rapid yung pag-fall ng temperature. Okay? So, what else? What is the thing that you need to memorize here sa Algor mortis is that the fall of temperature is 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit is already considered as a certain sign of death. Okay? Next, we have the post-mortem caloricity. So in the post-mortem caloricity, di ba, is that this is the rise of temperature. This is the opposite of your Algor mortis. Ang Algor mortis, loss of temperature. Ang post-mortem caloricity naman is the rise of temperature of the body after death. Okay? Because, ano ang cause ng post-mortem caloricity? There is a early putrefactive changes. Early putrefactive changes or mas mabilis or nagkakaroon na ng signs ng decomposition sa loob ng katawan ng isang tao. That's why the temperature is rising. Okay, so aside from the metabolic process nga, is that nagkaroon ka ng early putrefactive changes because of the infections that are occurring in your body before your death. Number 1 there is your cholera. Yung cholera, yan yung pagkakaroon ninyo ng diarrhea with constant vomiting. Ang cause ng death dyan is dehydration because of vomiting and diarrhea. Yellow fever, liver abscess, peritonitis, ang tawag natin pag masakit na yung appendix mo, hindi mo pa pina-opera. Okay, cerebrospinal fever, rheumatic fever, tetanus, smallpox, at saka yung strychnine poisoning. Okay, so pag yan ang causes ng death mo, okay, post-mortem caloricity, mas mabilis ang pagtaas ng temperature. Pero after ng rise ng temperature of the body, ma'am, wala na ba siyang Algor mortis? Hindi pwedeng walang Algor mortis. Ito lang yung exception na parang after death, bakit may mga tao na ang taas ng temperature pa rin? Kasi nga, in medical explanation, ito yung mga some of the suggested cause of his or her death. Okay, so ulitin ko, bakit may post-mortem caloricity? This is the rise of temperature because of early putrefactive changes that are already occurring in the internal of the person, which is due to the following, okay, medical conditions. So, we have also here the factors that are affecting your Algor mortis. It's either delaying or accelerating. Ang ating acute pyrexual disease or ito yung pagkamatay niya is, ang cause is meron siyang fever. Bago siya namatay, syempre madedelay ang Algor mortis. Another one, there is a sudden death in good health. So, yung mga aneurysm na sinasabi natin, di ba, yung parang with us not only pumutok yung kanilang nerves sa head, so hindi sila prepared, they're not aware, bigla na lang silang namatay, it means there is a delay in the cooling of the body. Obesity of the person. So, do not, wag niyong sabihin naman, so mga matatabang tao is, mas matagal silang mag-cool down. Okay? So, yan kasi yung part na ng, since their body is covered with too much fat, okay, already, hindi ganun kadali ang paglabas ng mga temperature sa kanilang katawan. So, nai-insulate pa siya sa loob. So, it takes time for them to have a Algor mortis. And then death from asphyxia, as we have discussed last meeting, pag ang pagkamatay mo is loss of oxygen, okay, it will delay also the Algor mortis. And then death of the middle age. Mga middle age, naka-prime years pa lang kayo. Mga 35 to 45 ganyan. Tapos bigla kang namatay kasi it means dyan sa age na yan is you are at your prime years na sinasabi natin. It means you have yung body mo is at parang at its peak or dapat nasa pinaka healthy siya na part unless you are having a lot of vices. Syempre ibang usapan na yun. And then how about the accelerating of the body? Cooling of the body. Number 1, there is leanness of the body or yung sobrang papayat, okay? Yung mga malnourished, yung mga namamatay because of starvation, okay? Mas madaling magkaroon ng Algor mortis. Extreme age, like for example, mga sobrang bata at saka sobrang matanda. Let us say for example, yung mga namamatay na babies, okay? And then yung mga namamatay na mga 80s, mga 90s, ganyan. Mas mabilis mag-cool down ng kanilang body. Another one, long-standing or lingering disease, or it means matagal na siyang bedridden, matagal na siyang may sakit, so mas mabilis ang kanilang pag-cool down ng katawan. And then lastly, chronic pyrexual disease or yung fever na meron pa siyang associated with wasting or what we call yung diarrhea and vomiting. So, pag yan yung cause of death at mas mabilis yung Algor mortis. Okay, so next naman, ano yung mga factors affecting delaying? It's either delaying or accelerating based on the environment of the person during death. Okay, so pag sa delaying, it means pag masyadong makapal yung clothing niya at the time of death. Another one, pag namatay siya sa small room or wala siyang well-ventilated room. For example, yung mga cases wherein yung mga pinapatay na tao is natatagpuan lang sa mga kulob na area, mga small rooms, okay? So yung mga yon is nade-delay ang kanilang Algor mortis. And then lastly, pag ang place kung saan siya namatay is our surroundings. And then last, the accelerating. Pag accelerated naman ang loss of temperature pag unclothed yung body nung namatay or wala siyang saplot, okay? Well ventilated or open space yung place kung saan siya namatay. And then, large room, syempre, it means well ventilated nga or may access siya sa air. And lastly, pag namatay siya sa bodies of water or places wherein there is a lot of air. Next, we have the estimation of the time since death using Algor mortis. Okay, so saan tayo nagbe-base pag sa Algor mortis? It's always on the rectal temperature. Ma'am, bakit sa rectal? Because mas accurate yung temperature na makukuha mo sa rectal kaysa sa mouth or sa armpit. Okay, so kaya pag may mga calculations with regards sa time since death or the estimating of time since death, you always use the rectal temperatures. So sa rigor mortis naman, this is the second part of yung mortis na sinasabi natin during the early PMI or the postmortem interval. Rigor mortis is the postmortem stiffening of the muscles caused by the depletion of adenosine triphosphate from the muscle. Okay, so this is one component of the muscle. So kaya nagkakaroon ng stiffening ng muscle because of its depletion. Ulitin ko, adenosine triphosphate of the muscle ang isa sa pinaka-cause why muscles stiffen after death. Okay, so another one also as an explanation is the cessation of oxygen supply. Cessation of oxygen supply to the muscle which causes aerobic respirations in the cell kaya nagkakaroon ng lack of yung ATP production. Okay? Or itong adenosine triphosphate. So, ang rigor mortis, ito ang changes in the muscle. As compared sa algor mortis, that is the changes in temperature. Okay? So, changes in the muscle after death because there is a complete relaxation of the whole muscle system. Complete in a sense na nag-cease na yung production ng ATP na sinasabi dito sa rigor mortis. So, ang rigor mortis starts immediately after death and usually seen in a sequence from known as the March of Rigor and Nystren's Law. So, ang rigor mortis starts immediately after death, okay? So, ang condition ng body din, also, during the rigor mortis can be used to estimate the time of death. So, pag sa condition of the body, warm siya, but no rigor mortis, it means died within 3 hours yan. Pag naman rigor mortis is present na, died between 3 to 9 hours, probably. And then rigor mortis fully established, died 9 hours previously. So, what is the list here? Ang lagi nating sinasabi dito sa legal medicine natin is always estimated, my word na probably, my word na presumption, because it is not definite, but it is backed up by medical terms and practices. Okay, so in continuation, rigor mortis appears approximately 2 hours after death in the muscles of the face and then progresses to the limbs over the next few hours, completing 6 to 8 hours after death. So please take note of that na mas mauuna yung muscles of the face natin and then bababa na siya papunta sa other parts of our body na pababa. Okay? So, next we have here, the entire muscular tissue passes 3 stages after death. This is still under your rigor mortis. So, meron tayong tinatawag na stage of primary flaccidity, the stage of postmortem rigidity, and the stage of secondary flaccidity or commencement of putrefaction. Kasi after na tumigas yung buong muscles ng ating katawan, the next stage now there is the putrefaction or mag-i-start na siyang mag-decompose. Okay, so if you are getting the pattern, di ba, yung katawan ng isang tao after death, aside from the loss of the temperature, magkakaroon siya ng stiffening of the muscle, and then ang susunod na dyan is the putrefaction. Okay, so in the stage of primary flaccidity, this is also known as your postmortem muscular irritability. So the muscles are relaxed and capable of contracting when stimulated. And then this part still have the pupils are dilated. And then there is the incontinence of urination and defecation, or sa part na ito, sa stage of primary flaccidity, pwede pang mag-urinate and defecate yung isang katawan ng tao. Kahit napatay na, yes, kasi this is the part na nagkakaroon na sila ng cleansing. So, di ba, tumitigas yung katawan, so nagkakaroon na siya ng expulsion sa katawan ng tao. Another one is the stage of postmortem rigidity. Ang stage of postmortem rigidity naman is also known as your cadaveric rigidity or death straddle of the muscle. Okay, next also here is the stage of secondary flaccidity or yung commencement ng of putrefaction, or this is now the decaying of the muscles. In other words, dito sa stage of secondary flaccidity, mag-i-start na mag-decompose yung ating mga muscles. So this also encourages now or starts now the foul smell of the body. Next, we have the stages of rigor. So, ito yung dinidiscuss natin kanina, postmortem muscular flaccidity, cadaveric rigidity, at saka yung decay of muscle. Ang postmortem muscular flaccidity, it takes usually, or nag-i-stay siya sa katawan ng 12 hours. So, sa 12 hours na, titigas yung katawan. And then, this one also depends, okay, again, depends pag sa weather or environment ng isang place kung saan natagpuan patay yung isang tao. So, pag mga temperate countries, okay, is that it usually lasts 2 to 3 days. Pag sa atin naman ng mga tropical countries, it usually lasts 24 to 48 hours. Okay, pag sa cold weather, for example, dito sa Baguio, 24 to 48 hours. Pero pag sa mga hot weather like Union, Pangasinan, mas mababa siya into 18 to 36 hours. And then, after the disappearance of rigor mortis, the muscles becomes now soft and flaccid. So, bakit naman yan nakakalito? Bigla siyang magkakaroon ng stiffening and then sasabihin ninyo na mayroon ulit siyang softening. Okay, so yung part na yun kasi ang nag-e-encourage na ng pagkakaroon ng decomposition, which is the next stage or decaying of the muscle. As we have mentioned kanina, di ba, kasi nagkakaroon na ng depletion ng ATP content ng muscle. So, what are the factors influencing the time of onset of rigor mortis? Mga internal factors natin. Ang state of the muscle. Let us say, for example, rigor mortis appears late and the duration is longer in cases where the muscles have been healthy. Okay? How about sa age? Pag sa age naman, syempre, depende yan pag masyadong mabata masyadong extreme yung ages ng isang tao. And then, the integrity of nerves. How about the external factors? Ang mga external factors, syempre, yung temperature of the environment at saka yung moisture level. So, what are the conditions simulating rigor mortis? So, number one is we have here the heat stiffening. So, dito sa picture, heat stiffening is that pag yung tao is exposed siya sa high temperature during the time of death. How about the cold stiffening? And then lastly is your cadaveric spasm. So we have to focus here on your cadaveric spasm. cadaveric spasm. So cadaveric spasm is different from rigor mortis. Okay? Different siya sa rigor mortis. In cadaveric spasm, this immediately appears kahit wala pang 2 to 3 hours kasi these are indicators that the person died of a violent death. Okay? Ang rigor mortis, that is a normal part or normal stage of the body that of the body na nag-undergo ang body natin pag namatay tayo. So lahat ng tao magkakaroon ng rigor mortis after death. Pero hindi lahat magkakaroon ng cadaveric spasm because cadaveric spasm, as I have mentioned, it usually indicates a violent death. Okay, so automatic after death yan na nagkakaroon na ng stiffening ng muscle. So, this is the distinction between rigor mortis and cadaveric spasm. So, ang cadaveric spasm appears immediately after death. Ang rigor mortis naman, it appears 2 to 6 hours after death. Okay? What else? Sa cadaveric spasm, specific part lang ng katawan. Pwedeng sa cadaveric spasm, yung specific lang na kamay or yung specific na paa. But for the rigor mortis, it involves all of the body. So, sabay-sabay yan sa lahat ng part ng katawan natin. Sabay-sabay ang rigor mortis. Pero pag sa cadaveric spasm, specific parts only. And then, another distinction, pag sa rigor mortis, it occurs naturally. While your cadaveric spasm, it occurs due to violent death. Okay, what else we have here? The cadaveric spasms or instantaneous rigor. So, syempre, pwede nyo siyang ma-determine depende sa time of appearance. So, pag sinabi ko ng cadaveric spasm, automatic yan after death. Pero pag sa instantaneous rigor, it takes 2 to 3 hours after death bago siya mag-appear. Muscles involved. So, sa rigor mortis, all of the parts of the body. Pag sa cadaveric spasm, specific parts of the body. Occurrence. What does it mean pag occurrence? Diba? So, it also denotes, okay, how did the person die. Okay, ang occurrence niya, it depicts kung namatay ba siya violently or naturally. Okay, so anong medical legal significance niya? Ang cadaveric spasm natin can also be a indicator kung paano namatay yung tao. Pag kasi sa rigor mortis, it only simply shows na yung buong katawan niya is may stiffening of the muscle. Another changes, we have here the changes in the blood. So changes in the blood, it now involves your livor mortis. Ang livor mortis natin is due to the coagulation due to the cessation of circulation. So blood clotting is accelerated in cases of death by infectious fevers and delayed in cases of asphyxia, poisoning by opium or other chemicals like your carbon monoxide poison. So okay, in continuation, diba, ang livor mortis natin, it's because of the gradually accumulating of blood to the dependent portion of the body. Pag naman sa clotting, it is the coagulation of blood. Coagulation of blood. So dalawa lang ang changes of blood, livor mortis and clot. Next is we have here an example of an antemortem clot and postmortem clot. Ang antemortem clot, it looks firm, okay, ganyan. And then pag sa postmortem clot naman, soft siya and then homogeneous in appearance. Homogeneous in appearance ang antemortem clot. Ang postmortem clot naman is very separated siya. Okay? What does it mean? Antemortem clot, ito yung clot before death. Postmortem clot, ito yung mga clot after death. Okay, so let's continue with your livor mortis. So under livor mortis pa rin, meron tayong tinatawag na postmortem lividity or cadaveric lividity or postmortem subination. So please take note of these terms kasi nagkakaiba lang sila ng terms but they have the same actual meaning. Okay? So lima yan, postmortem lividity, cadaveric lividity, subination, postmortem hypostasis, pero ang pinakamadali na kailangan ninyong remember is the word livor mortis. Okay? So in livor mortis, going back with our previous slide, di ba sabi ko, this is the stoppage of this is due, okay? This is due to the stoppage of the heart action. If the heart is stopped, syempre wala nang pumping of blood. So ang lahat so sa katawan ng isang tao, hindi na nagkakaroon ng blood flow. Okay? So yung mga blood natin is napupunta na siya doon sa most dependent portions of the body. Okay? Na-accumulate now yung mga blood natin doon sa most dependent portions of the body. So what does your crime scene investigation? Okay, ulitin ko. Ang blood vessels natin during the livor mortis after death is that it is slowly accumulated in the dependent portion of the body. So what does this signify when it comes to your crime scene investigation? This signifies the location of the person during the time of death. The location in a sense na saan ba to tumagal? Okay? Saan ba to tumagal? Because there are instances wherein sa isang crime scene, just imagine this. Sa isang crime scene, natagpuan ninyo yung tao, pero ang livor mortis niya is nasa bandang front portion ng kanyang katawan. So yung blood niya is very purple siya sa part ng head, sa part ng limbs, sa front part ng katawan. Nakadapa siya. Okay? Nakadapa siya. So this signifies na doon sa place na yun, that is the original place kung saan siya nakita. Okay, how about if doon sa crime scene nakita ninyo yung kanyang livor mortis is nasa front part pero naka-side siya doon sa wall. Okay, what does it signify? It signifies now that the body was moved. Okay, the body was moved kasi yung dependent portion ng kanyang katawan hindi naman doon nakita yung liver mortis or yung accumulation of the blood. That's why it really is important also that you determine if the person's liver mortis because it will actually tell you what is the position of the body during the time of death na tumagal siya. Okay? Next okay, so additional information regarding sa color of lividity. It can help you also in your crime reconstruction because it can signify the cause of death. Depende sa color ng lividity. Okay, so usually ang color ng lividity should be dull red or pinkish. But there are instances na bakit siya bright pink. Pag bright pink kasi yan, the cause is carbon monoxide poisoning. Pag naman bright red yan, the cause is hydrocyanic acid ang cause niya. So may mga chemicals din na pwede kayong makadetermine if sila is additional cause ng pagkamatay ng isang tao. Kasi kung ano yung na-inhale ng isang tao, okay, it will also go doon sa kanyang bloodstream. So yung kanyang blood also will have the discoloration. Okay? Another one, pag naman naging pale yung tao, it means there is already the anemia or very pale siya or yung kanyang lividity, so wala kayong makita na discoloration because maybe the cause of death is severe hemorrhage or significant loss of blood. Okay, so pag may nakita kayong bangkay and then, ma'am, hindi naman ganon ka-visible yung kanyang lividity kasi baka ang isang cause dyan is wala na palang dugo yung tao doon sa kanyang loob ng katawan because the cause of death is due to severe hemorrhage. So these are the instances na nagiging very pale yung lividity. How about pag dark brown siya? Pag dark brown naman siya, the cause may interaction maybe yung victim sa mga phosphorus. Pag naman coffee brown, the cause may be pertaining to, or we may cite na meron siyang contact sa potassium chloride. Potassium chloride. So you see how important sa legal medicine also that we have a basic knowledge with regards sa mga tinuturo sa atin sa toxicology. Okay? So next, we have here the causes kung bakit nagkakaroon ng acceleration sa lividity. Okay? So the lividity usually appears 3 to 6 hours after death. 3 to 6 hours after death. However, if yung cause of death niya is due to cholera, uremia, and typhus fever, okay, 12 hours after death, makikita ang postmortem lividity bago siya magpo-fully develop. Because meron tayong, sa mga sakit na ito, is meron siyang connection sa mga internal organs, which affects yung postmortem lividity. Kaya siya mas bumibilis. Okay? Mas bumibilis siya na hindi na siya aabot sa 6 hours. Okay? Diba? Kasi syempre, kung ang mga ito, kasi nasakit na ito, diba? Ang tinatamaan niya is yung internal organ mo. So, very weak na yung internal organs mo. So, usually, ang lividity sana is mag-appear siya after 3 to 6 hours, diba? Pero, ito yung mga instances na kahit 2 hours pa lang, bakit may mga accumulation na ng lividity? Because, in the first place, may mga damage na doon sa internal organs mo. So, it means may mga bleeding. Mas na-accelerate yung bleeding. Kaya, yung discoloration is accelerated din. Okay? Tapos, ang isa pa dito is that nag-i-stay siya sa katawan, yung lividity ng hanggang 12 hours because of the damage sa internal organs. Because a normal person, a dead person dapat, ang lividity is mag-stay lang siya ng 3 to 6 hours. Okay? Okay, so next we have here the physical characteristics of a postmortem lividity. So, sa physical characteristic ng postmortem lividity, it occurs in the most extensive areas. So, take note of this. It occurs in the most extensive areas of the most dependent portion of the body. So, as you can see dito sa ating picture, it is really visible kung saan yung dependent portions of the body. So, based dito sa dalawang picture, you can identify here again that there are different discolorations. Hindi sa lahat ng oras is pare-parehas ang color ng discoloration ng lividity because as we have mentioned, iba-iba ang cause of death ng mga taong iyan. Okay? So, it only involves also the superficial layers of the skin. So, it does not appear from the rest of the skin, pero mas nakikita nga lang siya doon sa mga dependent portions of the body. Okay? So, afterwards, bakit yung iba nagiging color greenish na siya? So, nagiging color greenish na siya, as you can see in these some parts nito, okay? Parang greenish siya na pale, di ba? Kasi, yung sa body na ito, it is already starting sa decomposition. Okay, it is already starting sa decomposition, kaya nagiging greenish na siya. So, it depicts also na medyo matagal na yung katawan ng tao kasi gradually na nawawala na yung kanyang postmortem lividity. Okay, so, if there is no injury of the skin, it develops as spots of discoloration within 30 minutes to 2 hours. Okay, so these spots then go sa mga larger patches which combines to form a uniform discoloration of the body doon sa most dependent parts of the body. Okay, so what else? So, kinds of postmortem. Okay, meron tayong hypostatic lividity at saka diffusion lividity. You just check kung ano yung kanyang difference. Okay. So, additional information lang, ang livor mortis is also known as your hypostasis, or the root word here is livor, which means bluish color, at saka mortis, which means death. Okay? So, ito, yung postmortem lividity, it means after death, or yung lividity na pinag-uusapan dito is yung color niya is black and blue. Okay? So, ano ngayon ang difference ng hypostatic lividity at saka diffusion lividity? Ang hypostatic lividity is that it is the lividity when the discoloration is due to the blood pooled in the most dependent areas of the body. Okay? In the most dependent areas of the body. How about your diffusion lividity? Sa diffusion lividity naman, it is fixed discoloration when the blood clotted. So, if you can see, mas grabe or mas extreme yung part ng diffusion lividity kasi may blood clot na siya doon sa mismong blood vessels. Dito kasi sa hypostatic lividity, parang nasa layer pa lang yan ng skin. So, kapag ginalaw-galaw mo yung isang tao na yan, pwedeng mag-move pa yung kanyang lividity. Pero pag sa diffusion lividity, kahit anong galaw mo dyan, hindi na siya magkakaroon ng difference. Okay, so hypostasis and bruise, ito. May mga iba kasi na napag-i-interchange nila ang itsura ng hypostasis at saka bruises. So, okay, so sa hypostasis, dapat dependent areas yan. Okay, ang bruise naman, any part of the body, pero depende kung saan na-inflict yung pain, di ba? Another one, well-defined edges siya, at saka yung bruise naman, ill-defined edges. Okay, so ito, ang example natin ng with a bruise, blood will not flow from the cut. Ito naman ang itsura ng lividity niya. So yung lividity dito is hindi siya masyadong prominent, and then hindi ganun visible yung bluish or yung purplish color. Okay, so sa hypostasis, blood is retained in the intact capillaries. Pag naman sa bruises, blood escapes through ruptured capillaries kasi yung sa bruises, pwede siyang mag-open, di ba? So sa hypostasis, it is superficial as compared to bruises deep into skin niya. And then, ang hypostasis, same level on the surface, pag bruises naman raised siya. And then failover pressure areas, and then bruises red. Tapos, sa hypostasis, blood flows from the cut vessels. And then, pag sa bruises naman, blood coagulates in the tissue. And lastly, sa hypostasis, walang swelling. Walang swelling yan as compared sa bruises na meron siyang swelling. Okay? Next is the things that you need to consider which may infer to the position of the body of the victim at the time of death. Number one is yung posture ng katawan. So the body may become rigid in the position in which he were found. At saka another one is your postmortem hypostasis. So ang hypostatic lividity will be found in areas of the body which comes in contact with the surface. Tapos magkakaroon ng coagulation of blood doon sa pinaka-dependent portions of the body. And lastly, pag may cadaveric spasm, as we have mentioned kanina, ang cadaveric spasm is prominent lang siya pag sa mga violent death. And then the last stage, this is now part of your late postmortem interval. So ito na yung putrefaction na sinasabi natin, or sa Tagalog, pagkaagnas na ng katawan. So ito yung start of disintegration of the body. So magi-start yan sa fresh, bloat, decay, advanced decay, and dry remains. Okay? So sa fresh na yan, buo pa yung katawan ng tao. Yung sa early, mag-i-start na yan na magkaroon ng signs ng bloating. Bakit may bloating, ma'am? Because mag-a-accumulate na dyan yung mga different gases which can be seen doon sa loob ng katawan ng tao. So ang putrefaction, actually, it begins within an hour of death. So pwede magsabay-sabay yan. Hindi ibig sabihin na mauuna ang algor mortis, susunod ang rigor mortis, at saka last na yung putrefaction. Because there are times na nagkakaroon sila ng overlapping. As I have mentioned nga, ang putrefaction, mag-i-start yan within an hour of death. Kasi number one factor there is that stopping of the metabolic processes. So pag nag-stop ang metabolic processes, ano nang next na mangyayari sa loob ng katawan ng tao? So mag-i-start na yan, magre-ready na yan na maagnas. Okay? So the internal organs decompose 3 to 5 days after death. And then the body starts to bloat, bloat, and then blood-containing foam leaks from the mouth and nose. So ito yung mga, pag sa news, di ba, yung sinasabi nila na may mga naaamoy sila na masangsang na amoy, yan na. Kasi makikita mo na 3 to 5 days na palang patay yung tao. Okay? So, ano naman sa active decay? Sa active decay, dyan na mag-start yung magkaroon ng maggots. So, kakainin na ng mga maggots yung katawan. Advanced decay, may mga soft tissue lang dyan, pero makita mo na may skeleton. Kaya ang term is skeletonization. And then lastly, extreme. So, extreme, dry remains lang, wala ng soft tissues, purely na skeleton na lang ang makikita. So, dito, early decomposition phase. So, sa early decomposition phase, depende again sa mga other factors that could accelerate it. Okay? Number 1 there is that pag sa early decomposition is nasa hot weather at saka nasa moist place pa yung tao. So mas mabilis siyang maagnas. Okay, so maggots also appear to begin on the body starting from the second day of the postmortem. And then the body will start now to appear, ano yung color nun? Grayish green. Okay, grayish green, and then may mga marbling na siya. Marbleization, ito yung sinasabi ko. Ang marbleization kasi, this is prominent of the superficial veins with reddish discoloration during the process of decomposition. So, this develops usually sa abdomen, sa root of the neck, at saka sa shoulder. So, as you can see in the picture, makikita siya dito, sa shoulder. Yung iba sa abdomen, yung sa iba naman is doon sa kanilang neck part. Okay? So, this is usually visible siya pag yung mga taong namatay is may mga fair complexion. Fair complexion or yung mga mapuputi. Okay? So, ang reddish part na ito na marbleization, kaya nga siya tinawag na marbleization kasi nagkakaroon na ng marbled branching ng kanilang veins. Okay? Marbled branching ng kanilang veins. Another one, sa mummification naman, it is the dehydration of the whole body which results in the shivering and preservation of the body. So, pwedeng natural mummification at saka artificial mummification. Usually, ito is ginagamit siya sa Egypt, diba? Dito naman sa Cordillera regions, meron tayong mga mummies, okay? Dito sa may kabayan. Okay, so if you can see, yung pinapayukungan nila, so kahit na, yung parang ang liit lang ng kanilang sabao kasi during at the time of death, nagkakaroon sila ng mummification, fetal position nila yung mga death. Okay? And then next, we have the maceration. Ang maceration naman, this is only visible to the softening of the tissues when a fluid medium in the absence of putrefactive microorganisms which is frequently observed pag mga fetus lang. Okay? Pag mga fetus lang yan, nag-appear sa maceration. Kasi nga, or there is the absence of putrefactive microorganism. Kaya pag nakikita ninyo yung mga fetus is bakit very visible pa rin yung mga itsura nila. Very yung mga parts is naka-intact pa rin because that is what you call your maceration. Sa maceration lang sa fetus kasi there is the softening of the tissues pero hindi yung as in na magkakaroon sila ng mga putrefactive microorganisms. Okay? So this is the one, the Ibaloid tribe, so which was existed in the Benguet province for thousands of years. So meron silang practicing of embalming ritual. So ngayon medyo pinapa-stop na nila because of health concerns daw, medical concerns. Okay, so that's the integration na ng mga science at saka cultural practices. Okay. Next, evolution of gases. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na bakit masangsang ang amoy pag meron ng putrefactive changes or may mga decomposition stage na sa isang tao. Because ano yung mga gases na nagkakaroon, ano yung mga gases doon sa loob ng katawan ng isang tao na nanggagaling sa different tissues natin. It's carbon dioxide, ammonia, hydrogen, sulfurated hydrogen. If you know yung amoy ng sulfurated hydrogen, yung parang yung nabulok na itlog, gano'n. Okay? Phosphorated hydrogen at saka methane gases. Okay? So, next, we have also here the advanced decomposition. Advanced decomposition phase begins if the appearance or nagkakaroon na ng sagging of the skin at saka collapse of the abdominal cavity. Okay? The body also shows extensive maggot infestations. Okay? So, may mga maggot na siya. So, 4th day yan yung talagang kinakain na siya ng mga uod. And then, what else? Internal changes. So, those who, ano yung mga part ng katawan natin na nagpuputrefy or mas madaling maagnas? It's the brain, lining of the trachea and larynx, yung stomach, intestines, spleen, liver, and uterus. Especially if you are in your puerperal stage or yung kapapanganak. Because syempre, kapapanganak mo, very soft yung tissue. Okay, so ito yung mga part na madali siyang maagnas. Okay, ano naman yung mga medyo late? Number 1 is esophagus, diaphragm, heart, lungs, kidneys, urinary bladder, uterus, and prostate gland. Yung uterus dito, bakit yung uterus? Tapos yung uterus again. Pag sa uterus dito is yung mga hindi pa nagamit. Okay, yung parang nakapanganak ka na mga 3 years after now. So, bumalik na sa normal state. Ang sinasabi dito is uterus pag yung mga kapapanganak lang. Alam niyo yung mga part na yung nanganak sila tapos kinamatay nila. Okay, yun yung mga instances na mas madaling mag-putrefy kasi nga kakatapos lang niyang manganak. Okay, so ito naman yung uterus na ito, yung sinasabi dito is yung nasa normal state. Okay, what else? Skeletonization phase. So, ganyan yung itsura niya, may mga soft tissues pa siya. Okay. And then, another one, extreme decomposition phase, wala nang mga soft tissues. So, hindi na nga disintegrated na yung mga parts ng katawan. Okay, so extreme decomposition phase na yan. And then, what are the factors affecting putrefaction? Mga internal factors, syempre again, age, condition of the body, at saka yung cause of death. So, external factors naman, pag may free air or well ventilated. Pag sa earth is that, for example, yung previous pictures natin, di ba, is mas accelerated siya pag yung mga bangkay is natagpuan sa mga moist na lugar, sa mga, for example, sa mga mountain. Syempre, sa mountain, mas mabilis magkaroon ng multiplication ng maggots. Pag sa water din, kasi mas mabilis ang kanyang pag-bloat at bloating ng katawan, di ba, kasi ina-absorb ng katawan din yung water, and then yung sa clothings. Okay, pag sa clothings, pag walang clothings yung bangkay bago siya namatay, mas mabilis magkaroon ng infestation na ng mga maggots. Okay, what else? This one, saponification or adipocere formation. So this is a condition wherein the fatty tissues of the body are transformed to soft, brownish white substance known as your adipocere. So for example, this one, diba, bakit yung ibang bangkay parang mayroon silang mga soaps? Okay, so it occurs naturally in the visceral organs and even in non-fatty tissues of the body like the muscles. Ang adipocere kasi is a waxy material, rancid or moldy siya in odor. And in other words, ito yung sinasabi nila na mga fat of the graveyards or mga corpse wax. Okay, corpse wax. So what happens to your body after you die? Okay, so second is brain activity, mag-stop yan. Your body temperature also drops, so usually 1.6 per hour or 1.5 in other references. But after some minutes na yan, your cells begin to die because of lack of oxygen, wala ng metabolic process, so mag-start na yung kanyang putrefaction stage. And then after hours, meron ng mga rigor mortis, yung muscles natin, yung skin, at saka reddish splotches. After days naman, yung mga enzymes or yung mga other internal organs na.
And then weeks, dyan na, may mga maggots na, pero ito hindi naman as in abot weeks kasi may mga instances na 3 to 5 days, may mga maggots na. Depende nga sa mga factors that are surrounding or yung mga environmental factors kung saan matatagpuan yung isang tao. Okay? So, weeks also, yung mga hair mo mag-fall off na, and then months or weeks, 3 weeks ganun, mag-start na siya mag-escalate. So, ano naman yung autolytic or autodigestive changes after death? So, ito, rule of thumb states that there is a decrease of 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit every hour. So, sa Algor Mortis, this is the most accurate method of estimating the time since death in the early post-mortem phase. Pero saan natin ulit kukunin ang temperature dapat? Doon sa rectal. Okay, so this is your assignment. So, sa assignment ninyo, yung Gleister equations, you try to check it. This is a formula used to approximate the time since death, and then the calculation approximates that the body loses 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit every hour and can be determined by yung hour since of death, and then 98.4 Fahrenheit minus yung body temperature, divide nyo lang siya ng 1.5. So, ito lang ang kukunin natin kasi standard na yung 98.4 at saka yung 1.5. Ang kukunin lang natin doon sa katawan ng isang tao is yung kanyang body temperature. But as I have mentioned kanina, always get the body temperature via the rectal. Okay, mas accurate kasi doon sa rectal temperature. So, next we have also the Newton's law of cooling. Another way in estimating time since death is the Newton's law of flowing. So, ilagay lang ninyo, i-substitute lang natin ito, and then simply plus and minus. Okay, yung temperature at the time of death, ano yung temperature of surrounding, initial temperature of the object, at saka yung constant. But the problem here kasi minsan is that paano pag hindi ninyo alam yung mga temperature at the time of death. Tapos, wala kayong gagamitin at that moment to get the temperature of the surrounding. That's why yung Gleister, yun yung parang pinakamadali. Because what we're trying to establish is yung estimated time of death. Okay? So, methods of estimating how long a person has been dead. So, when the body temperature is normal at the time of death, the average rate of fall of the temperature during the first 2 hours is 1/2 of the difference of the body temperature and that of the air. So, during the next 2 hours, the temperature fall is 1/2. And then, as a general rule, the body attains the temperature of the surrounding air from 12 to 15 hours after death in tropical countries. So, ito din. To make an approximate, ito naman yung galing sa kay Pedro Solis, yung kanyang book sa legal medicine. Ito. Yung normal temperature, so what's the normal temperature? 37, di ba? Tapos 98.4 minus rectal temperature, i-divide nyo sa 1.5 or similar siya doon sa Gleister's formula. Okay, so prepare for the following major quiz. Dalawa lang siya. Okay, number 1 is yung medical legal aspects of identification and death. So you have to review yung basic identification method, calculation of estimated height, male and female bones, stages of death, changes in the body after death, calculation of estimated time of death. And then, review quiz for finals examination. So physical injury, identification, legal classification, death, at saka lastly is your sexual related crimes. Okay, so thank you for listening.